In 1939, the scientific community learned that German physicists discovered the secrets of splitting a uranium atom. Fear swept through the community that the Nazis would then have the power to cause major destruction throughout the world. On October 11, 1939, President Roosevelt received a letter from Albert Einstein regarding a new field of physics that showed uranium could undergo nuclear fission, which would release a large amount of energy. Einstein then explains that the possibility of harboring the mass potential energy would create extremely powerful bombs. He added that Germany was already in the process of pursuing this possibility. Within a month, Roosevelt had organized a research committee. In order to protect the nation, the U.S. needed to make an atomic weapon before Japan or Germany did. On May 12, 1942, President Roosevelt signed an order to create the nuclear weapon, which is known as the largest secret project undertaken by the U.S. government. On July 16, 1945, successful detonation of the first atomic bomb occurred in New Mexico, which gave them even more motivation to keep going with the Manhattan Project. The bomb created a crater measured 2,400 feet across.
The Manhattan Project began in 1941 when the American effort began to design and build the atomic bomb. The atomic bomb's name was the Manhattan Project. The first atomic bomb was ready to be tested in 1945, and it was tested on July 16, 1945, at the Trinity site near Alamogordo, New Mexico. The testing was successful and ready to be put to use. The atomic bombing of Hiroshima occurred on August 6, 1945. This bombing occurred 3 days before the bombing of Nagasaki, which occurred on August 9, 1945. Hiroshima and Nagasaki are both empires in Japan. The bombing of Nagasaki, Japan and Hiroshima, Japan were toward the end of World War II. Hiroshima was the first atomic bomb target. Hiroshima was a manufacturing center and a home of 350,000 people, which was located 500 miles from Tokyo, Japan. Prior to the first bombing, the U.S. arrived on the Pacific island of Tinian. There they loaded the 9,000-pound bomb known as Little Boy onto the aircraft. Then, at 8:15 in the morning, it was dropped into Hiroshima by parachute. It exploded 2,000 feet above Hiroshima and it destroyed 5 square miles of the city. After the bombing of Hiroshima, the Japanese still refused to surrender. So on August 9th, a second atomic bomb, known as Fat Man, got dropped at 11:02 a.m. This bomb weighed nearly 10,000 pounds, and the bomb's primary target was Kokura. But due to the thick clouds, they released the bomb on Nagasaki. This bomb destroyed 2.3 by 1.9 miles of the city. The outcome of these events was 199,000 casualties, 135,000 from the bombing of Hiroshima and 64,000 from Nagasaki. Another outcome of these bombings was the surrender of the Japanese on August 15, 1945, on a radio broadcast. The surrender of the Japanese was made formal on September 2nd on the U.S. Missouri.
The atomic bombings ended World War II, as Japan was forced to surrender after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. After the atomic bombs were constructed, it gave other countries an opportunity to develop more powerful weapons, which could pose a threat to all of humanity. It cost the U.S. a total of $2.2 billion, which today would be equivalent to over $24 billion. In Hiroshima, there were 150,000 people killed. As for Nagasaki, there were 75,000 killed.